We can now talk to France 24's Clovis Casali about those negotiations. Hi Clovis, can you tell us how the discussions are going between the various parties this Tuesday?
Well, negotiations have been going on day and night, and now it seems rather complicated between France Unbowed, which is leading these negotiations with Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the far-left movement, and the Socialist Party. One of the spokesperson of France Unbowed, one of the leaders in these negotiations, Manuel Bompard, has come out and said that if a deal is not reached with the Socialists today, well, the talks will be broken off, called off. What is being discussed here? Of course, they are trying to come up with a common manifesto, but especially they're negotiating or squabbling, some might say, over who stands in which constituency. Because these talks need to lead to a situation where you only have one candidate representing the left wing, so France Unbowed, Socialists and Greens. And the Socialists want to be able to stand in more constituencies than what is being currently offered and on the table. So that's one of the divisive issues. And then, of course, you've got the common manifesto and you've got Europe, the far left with Jean-Luc Mélenchon, rather critical of the European Union. Earlier, I spoke to Manon Aubry, who's one of the party heavyweights. She's a member of the European Parliament, and she explained to me how she sees Europe and especially how she wants to reform Europe. Take a listen.
There's a clear consensus at the moment that if you look at European policies, they are in contradiction with some of the proposals that we have. Take an example. You want to have a big investment plan on green transition. Well, you need to disobey then the 3%, what we call golden rule at the European level. Or you want to nationalize our energy company, for example. We all agree on that. But then you have to disobey on the competition law. And on those clear, identified European rules, there's a need to disobey, not for the pleasure of disobeying, just for the sake of being able to implement our program. And that's exactly what we're discussing at the moment.
All right, and Clovis, tell us a bit more about the desired outcome for Jean-Luc Mélenchon and the France Unbowed party, because it's such a huge upset, isn't it, for the French left? He's leading the discussions and he's hoping to be Prime Minister in what would be a power-sharing exercise with Emmanuel Macron of the La République En Marche.
Well, actually, even before the negotiations began to form this coalition of parties, well, the France Unbowed came up with a poster saying Jean-Luc Mélenchon for Prime Minister. They've made it clear that they want him to be the Prime Minister if the left-wing coalition manages to win a majority of seats in Parliament in these crucial elections in mid-June. And Jean-Luc Mélenchon is a polarizing figure, highly divisive in France, but also, at the left wing. Jean-Luc Mélenchon has been very critical of the United States of America, of NATO, not so much of Russia in recent years, even though it has to be said that when Russia invaded Ukraine, he quickly condemned the move, but he also condemned sanctions against Russia a few years back. So Jean-Luc Mélenchon, a very outspoken figure, to say the least. Many of the left wing don't want to see him Prime Minister, notably in the Socialist Party. Remember that the Socialists were in power only a few years ago with President François Hollande. They also had a majority in Parliament. And Socialist figures like François Hollande, who are no longer playing an active role inside the party, technically speaking, well, they oppose this coalition. They say that it's putting in danger the Socialist Party. According to François Hollande and other party heavyweights, well, the Socialist Party is at risk of disappearing with this coalition.
That's right. 1.7% for Anne Hidalgo in the first round of the presidential election. It's pretty shocking stuff for anyone who is familiar with how the Socialist Party normally scores. Thanks for that, Clovis Casali.